Hello. Today, you ever get days where you're not sure if you're just bummed out or if maybe you're sick? And I'm having one of those days and I'm not sure which one I hope is true. Rather not be sick. Being sick sucks, but also it would be nice to have some reassurance that the present holds more opportunities for satisfaction and engagement than for frustration and bewilderment. I have to do a little jump cut as I'm approaching some terrain that I must look down at my feet so as to keep my feet. Today, a friend of mine sent me a link to an article by Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly, former editor-in-chief at Wired magazine, author of several books, including one that I read back around the turn of the century called Out of Control, The New Biology of Machines, Social Systems, and Economies, or something to that effect. And I fell out of favor, or he fell out of favor with me, I suppose, Kevin Kelly did, when I was in my peak oil years, because he drinks the Silicon Valley Kool-Aid, by the jug full. Kevin Kelly does. And I was having none of it for a time. But anyway, the friend who sent me the link to the Kevin Kelly article is no technophile himself. In fact, he's somebody that I met through the podcast and through our shared interest in peak oil and our shared dissatisfaction with so many things about the contemporary scene. And I was reading the article. It was about it was about augmented reality and how there is a mirror world growing up around the real world. It's incipient right now, but as time goes on, more and more objects in the world will have digital duplicates in the mirror world, in the digital mirror of the world that we live in. It mentions Google Maps, and I recall in the past, I've gone on to Google Maps and Google Street View, and I've looked at the places where I used to live. I have moved around a lot. I've lived in a lot of places. And every now and again, it's nice to refresh my memory. What exactly did that place look like? And certain places where I used to live, I noticed that, obviously the Google car doesn't go by and take a new photograph every day. So sometimes places that I hadn't lived in for a year or more, on Google Street View, my car is still parked out front. And it's kind of sad to go back to those locations a few years later and see that my car's not there anymore. The mark that I'd left on that place, at least in the mirror world, had faded. The place that I had lived for a time, other people live there now. Probably several people have lived there between me and the people who live there now. It's also very transitory. And yet here I am in my little New England village, and the people that I get along best with here are other transplants like myself, the people who were born here and grew up here. I just don't seem to have a whole lot to say to them or them to me. Want to hear a barking dog? Your answer to that question is irrelevant. If you don't want to hear a barking dog, turn the video off now. Hello, barking dog. Anyway, in reading Kevin Kelly's rapturous description of what it will be like to walk through the real world in the days of augmented reality, it just sounds exhausting because he acknowledges it's going to be full of pop-up ads. The digital landscape that mirrors the physical landscape will be haunted by artificial intelligence demons who are cavorting and competing with one another, trying to monopolize our attention. It just sounds exhausting. My real enthusiasm when it comes to artificial intelligence is space exploration. I think humans are fine for low Earth orbit, but once you get out past, past our little sphere here, out into the wider universe, even, just inside our solar system, it's rough out there, and it's expensive to carry around a bubble of oxygen at the right pressure, with all the conditions that we need. Our bodily organisms are suited to living and operating here in the world with gravity and a particular air pressure and a particular concentration of oxygen and nitrogen, shielded from radiation. Machines do much better up there than we do, or they will once they can think for themselves better than they can now. Half. There's a good dog. Half of all Mars probes don't get there. Or, not unless you count crashing and smearing themselves over half a kilometer getting there. But I'd much rather, sacrifice a bunch of probes than send a lot of people up there. That just seems like folly to me. Anyway, kind of all over the place, but I'm going to go inside now and get some snacks that I really don't need. It was really just the walk I needed.